Grew up in Massachusetts, born and raised. Spent most of my time in and around the Boston area. Athletics was actually kind of what anchored me, starting really, really young. I played just about every sport there is growing up. I excelled in football, so that kind of became my top go-to. Football was really the driving force in me going to college. Kind of around my sophomore year, maybe, of high school, I really didn't have any kind of direction. Started looking at the military. And I'll never forget growing up as a kid, the commercial, the Marine Corps commercial, this dude, he's climbing this mountain, gets to the top, he slays this dragon, and he snaps around, he's wearing the Marine Corps dress uniform, and I was like, yeah, I need to be that guy, right? That's me for sure. So I went to the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. I played football there. It was a Division II school. My sophomore year was 9/11. In that moment, I was ready to drop out of school right there and then. And that was really the nail in the coffin for me, right? I am ready to go right now because I knew we were going to war. Got my bachelor's degree and then began looking at options to join the military right after that. So I graduated the Q course in 2010. Was initially assigned to 3rd Special Forces Group. I was in 18 Bravo, which are the Special Forces weapons sergeants. In process, got to my team, began that integration process. And it wasn't long until I was on my first deployment to Afghanistan in 2011. That's really where I caught the bug for this job. Lead up to my second trip was pretty standard. It was a VSO mission, which pretty much gone away at this point, but stands for Village Stability Operations. So they dropped us off a helicopter in the middle of the night at about 7,500 feet above ground level in the mountains. And we set up shop, began going to work. We had basically no white space around us at all, meaning we had very, very minimal freedom of movement. The second you left our little area, we were likely some kind of fight. We had my team, we had a ANA SF ODA that we were living with, and then we had an infantry squad uplift there with us as well. So extremely small footprint. About 2-3 weeks into our deployment, we were driving along, going to check on one of the ALP, Afghan local police, one of their checkpoints, and we were ambushed. I got hit with some shrapnel in the back of my shoulder. Wasn't a big deal, plugged it right there, continued on mission, no problem. Secured the objective, got back, reconsolidated. My medic took a look at it, he bandaged it up, and we continued on. Fast forward to November, same deployment. We were on the way back from a mission that went well, and we were ambushed along our route back. The initiation to that ambush was a 300 to 400 pound IED that hit our lead vehicle. Hear the boom, truck is airborne, and I'm seeing dudes fly through the sky like lawn dots. So I begin maneuvering myself down towards the truck, and I trip and fall. I look back, and it was one of my teammates who was actually the gunner in the turret of that truck. I'm in shock because he's alive. He's completely incoherent, obviously. His leg is snapped in half. I do a quick initial medical assessment of him to see just how bad this really is. And in about a second or two, I start getting engaged. I leave my buddy, which was one of the more difficult decisions I've ever had to make. I engage the enemy. I eliminate that threat. 2 out of the 3 anyway. And third guy takes off running. He's running away from me, and he's shooting at me over his shoulder while he's running away. So I'm maneuvering on him through this apple orchard, and one of his rounds strikes me in the face. It just grazes my cheek. I didn't realize that that's what it was at the time. As I'm maneuvering, all of a sudden, I get knocked on my ass and I'm staring up at the sky. And I thought initially that I had run into like a tree branch, and that just knocked me over. Turns out it was a round from an AK. So fast forward to March now of 2013. Getting ready to go into a joint mission with A&A, our Afghan National Army. We had our Afghan National Army SF team. We had some Afghan National Police guys there with us, which was nothing new for us. And we were doing our final comms check, our pre-mission brief, right inside of our little motor pool area, when an AMP soldier jumped up on the back of a Ford Ranger that had a truck-mounted PKM machine gun on it and opened fire into the group. I ended up taking 4 rounds to my right leg, and I took 1 to my lower left. At this point, we're dealing with 11 American casualties, including 2 killed, and another dozen or so Afghan casualties. So, catastrophic. At that point, I insisted that the guys move away from me and start working on guys that they could help, that they could save. I was completely convinced with certainty that I was dying right there and then. You know, I'm often asked, what is that like? Laying there on the battlefield, bleeding out. I'll never forget the thought in my mind was, man, I taught you how to use that gun, and you just shot me with it. It took the medevac bird over an hour, somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes to be able to land. I flatlined one time on the way to Fob Shank, which is where the AOB was located. I needed a blood transfusion, and I was administered a blood transfusion with the wrong blood type. This is something that I typically don't talk about, because to the lay person, this can't happen, and it perhaps paints our medical community in a negative light. I don't agree with that. There is a human element to everything that we do. This is obviously something that was not done intentionally or egregiously. The individuals that were there, that were working on me and my friends, were doing everything they possibly could to save our lives. And I am extremely grateful for all their efforts. Everything inside my body began shutting down. Liver, kidneys, everything. They weren't certain what the problem was, but they were certain that I needed a higher level of medical care. So they put me on a flight to Bagram. I coded on that flight as well. And it was on the flight there that they realized what had happened with the blood. So they reach out to the hospital that's about to receive me, and they said, hey man, we just pumped this guy full of the wrong blood type. Be prepared to receive the body. They got me right into surgery. Immediately took off the lower half of my right leg to try to minimize the amount of damage that my body was trying to recover from. They put me on dialysis. They put me on another transfusion of the correct blood type, and I managed to survive. So about once every other day, I was in surgery, and they were just incrementally cutting above the infection, cramming me full of antibiotics, and trying to get the infection under control. And they just gradually just kept going up higher and higher and higher. Eventually they got to a point where they got ahead of the infection and it stopped, leaving me with what I have today. So my femur is about 4 inches in length, which is obviously not very long. And when you're 6'5", 6'6", mechanically, that becomes a challenge moving forward. So then I get into my initial recovery, building up my strength, getting a prosthetic, learning how to live life as an amputee kind of thing. I spent a year at Walter Reed going through that. Leave there, return back to Fort Bragg, back to my unit. And was offered a full medical military retirement, which I wanted nothing to do with, so said no to that. My command said, okay, what are your goals? And I said, well, I need a job here, first of all, but my goal is to return to my team. And they were supportive of that. I requested to be assigned on the combatives committee within the advanced skills company of 3rd Group, responsible for teaching Special Forces soldiers hand-to-hand combat and close quarters combat. So I'm instructing daily, teaching classes and whatnot, and then I'm also now working with the Thor 3 strength and conditioning coaches on more advanced recovery. I approached my training at this point like an insane person. It consumed me completely. I was, first thing in the morning, mobility training, flexibility, range of motion stuff. From there to the gym, strength training. From there to work, teaching classes. Train at lunch. Usually we train jiu-jitsu to keep our own internal skills sharp. So I did that for about 8 months. And at that point, I felt like I was ready to take a shot at getting back onto the team. There really wasn't a laid out pipeline for me to follow. The command was just doing what they felt was right to ensure that I was able to physically, mentally be able to get back onto a team. So that process went on for about 3 months of a variety of different assessments and tests. And at the completion of my last physical assessment, the 3rd Group command team felt comfortable with putting me back on operational status. So I get back onto the team. This now is mid-2015. So from the point of injury to the point of me returning to the team was right around 2 years, which in the world of amputees is still really early on in that process. You know, I was still trying to figure out how to live life just as a one-legged guy. Forget about trying to figure that out in Afghanistan. So I get back to the team, and about 2 months later, we were back in Afghanistan, August of 2015, running combat operations. Deployed once again to Eastern Africa, in the Horn of Africa region. At that point, I transferred groups from 3rd Group to 5th Group. I joined 5th Group July of 2017, and then I deployed with 5th Group to Lebanon. Got back from that, decided I wanted to pursue making the transition to warrant officer, which I did. Then took over as assistant detachment commander for one of the ODAs within 5th Group. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. There are certain days where I feel like I'm working. On most days, though, I feel privileged to be able to do what I do. Nobody has the right to be in the United States military. Nobody has the right to be a Green Beret on an ODA. You have to earn all of that. It's not handed to anybody. Therefore, it is a privilege to serve in this capacity, in this organization. It is a privilege to serve the members of this nation. And that is something that I pledged an oath to in 2007. And despite this, I still have to uphold my end of that bargain because I can. And as long as I am considered an asset to the guys to my left and right, and as long as I provide value to them, I will continue to do what I do for as long as I can.